Hi, this is Rob Thomson, and welcome to the Phillies Show.
Hey, everybody. Ruben Amaro Jr. is here. Jim Salisbury is here. I'm Todd Zalecki. The Phillies Show brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. It's Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. How's everybody doing? You guys doing good? Thumbs up from Ruben.
I survived my ski expedition out there in Camelback Mountain. My kids got me a really nice little junket. Me and my family, my partner Lori and their boyfriends, we all went up in the Airbnb up there, Camelback Mountain, and my kids actually was really surprised, man. Nice little ski effort for one day, and it was really fun. Had one big tumble, hurt my knee a little, but I'll be fine. Don't worry, I'm okay. I will not go on IL.
As long as you didn't hit a tree or anything like that.
No trees.
Okay.
It was actually really nice.
I've never downhill skied before in my life. I've never done it. I've never done it.
From Wisconsin.
I know. Well, we don't really have hills there. It's kind of like slopes. I've never done it. Now I feel like I'm too old to go. I would hit a tree, and that's not the way I want to go.
Let's go down to Bunny Hill. They have a magic carpet ride, dude. Magic carpet ride.
I mean, have you ever skied? Downhill skied?
Yes, but not well and not often and never again.
What's the matter with you guys?
I was a hockey player. We never could go away to ski because we were always playing hockey, and that was fine with me.
Well, if you're skiing on the East Coast, it's like skiing on a hockey rink. It's all ice.
It's all ice.
If you can ski there, you can ski anywhere. I've never skied on the West. That's what I'm trying to do one of these days.
Gotta go down those double black diamond hills.
No,
right?
I don't need to do that. I used to do those as a kid or when I was younger, but I'm not doing that stuff anymore. You can be sure.
Go have fun. Don't kill yourself, right? That's
correct.
Yes.
Just take a nice leisurely stroll. Just go and pizza pie it all the way down. No need of French fry.
Ooh, pizza pie. I like that. Jim likes that. A little pizza pie.
Is that when you do the
snowplow?
Snowplow.
Pizza pie and then, French fries. French fries is when you're airing it out. You're letting it fly.
Oh, that's good, man. Now you got me thinking of food.
It is a crazy when those guys in the Olympics, they come down that hill at like 120 miles an hour.
It's awesome.
Daredevils.
It's insane.
That's crazy. Yeah, I've never done it. Maybe I will. I don't know. Probably not. I'm chicken now. I'm too scared. But you got me thinking of food and Super Bowl's on Sunday. Do you guys have big plans? Do you guys like big Super Bowl when your team is in it? You going to a big party, or do you like to sit home and kind of like focus on the game and be unbothered by the masses? Because there's a comedian, Bill Burr, who I love. Bill Burr. There's a clip running around on Instagram and everywhere right now where I think it was Conan O'Brien asked him, "Are you going to watch the Super Bowl?" He's like, "I watch it by myself." Because here's the thing about the Super Bowl: if your team's in it, 90% of the people at the party, they don't care about the Super Bowl, so they talk during the game, and then they get quiet during the commercials, and then the game comes back on, and they spend the time talking about the commercials. So I like that. I don't like to be bothered by any of that stuff. So I'm kind of the same way. I like to watch the game for sure, rather than be distracted and then miss my team, doing the Philly, miracle touchdown pass from Nick Foles or something like that to Nick Foles. What are you guys doing?
I haven't firmed up any plans yet, but I'm feeling some. I might break out the smoker and do some wings. I haven't done that in a long time.
Like that.
And I think you might have heard I like wings.
Wings and burgers. They're high on your list. I had some wings today, and I'm a wing fan as well, I must admit.
I like pizza too, man.
Well, why wouldn't you? It's the one single greatest food.
So you guys gonna be watching it?
I'm actually going to my brother's house, the tacos place, to check it out. That should be really fun.
So it's a little bit of a party.
A little bit of a party. He's trying to figure out what kind of hoagies we want. What kind of hoagies?
Love a nice hoagie too.
Yeah, we're looking for the 6-footers we can chop up.
Right.
We'll probably mix it up. Probably a little turkey. Probably a little classic Italian. Not too much oil. Not too much action. Just just enough. It's
going to be fun, man. Sunday's going to be a lot of fun. Everybody's so excited. God. It is. I mean, At the bus stop today, somebody was saying for my son saying, it's funny, but now it's almost like this is just what the Eagles do. It's like you go all those years without making the Super Bowl. Now it's like 3 times in the last 6 years. Is that
pretty
right?
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
What are you eating? What are you featuring?
Me?
Yeah. What are you doing?
I think it might be like some boneless wings for the kids, but we do like make a little hot sauce, like a homemade hot sauce for that. And I'm not sure what else we got planned, but a lot of snacky type of foods, so like wings, boneless wings, tater skins, something like that.
You ought to go down and get a nice Pinocchio's pizza.
Oh yeah, little media's favorite right there. Yeah, absolutely.
We will be doing charcuterie. Lori does an unbelievable charcuterie dish. She's strong on the charcuterie moves.
That's good stuff as well.
And she's pretty solid on the salad to boot. So
better yet, a Mancos and Mancos.
Oh, there we go.
Great call. Maybe we have to ship them in.
Maybe get to work on that, Jimmy.
Yeah,
well, hey,
Jimmy, gotta work there.
Well, last week we had Rob Thomson on it, and when we come back, we want to talk about some of the very interesting things that Rob Thomson said last week on the Phillies Show. We'll be right back.
Hey, Valentine's Day is coming up, and we have the recommendation for you to check out right now. Don't wait. It's 1-800-Flowers.com. This year, we're partnering with 1-800-Flowers to make sure you're a Valentine's legend with an exclusive offer for the FT fam. It's double the roses for free. When you buy 1 dozen, they're going to double your bouquet to 2 dozen roses. It's the perfect way to wow her without breaking the bank. 1-800-Flowers always delivers. Let them dominate this holiday. It's what they do best.
Think about everyone in your fam that deserves some love on Valentine's Day. I sent a bouquet to my daughter at college, and it lit up her day. I also added an awesome vase to the order for her, so she's got it all.
All roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak, cared for every step of the way, and shipped fresh to ensure lasting beauty. Don't wait. Think ahead this year. Make it easy and get that deal right now. When you order 1 dozen, they'll double the rose bouquet for free. That's the FT deals that we're always looking out for. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/FT. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/FT.
We are back. So Rob was great, guys. We love talking to Rob, and he was just fantastic on the show last week. And it was interesting to see kind of like what connected with the audience, and we saw a lot of stuff about the lineup. When we asked Rob about the lineup, everybody loves the lineup. Everybody can make a better lineup than the next person. I would crush you two on a lineup, but then Ruben thinks my lineup would suck and Jim's is terrible. And that's what kind of makes baseball fun, like lineups. And that was something that I think really resonated. Rob said basically he's already had some conversations with some people. And then Jim said, who do you think is the candidate? Who are the candidates to hit leadoff if it's not going to be Schwarber? And I kind of was thinking he might mention 2 or 3 guys. He goes, Trea Turner. Period. Trea Turner.
Kind of interesting.
I was
kind of hoping he'd throw Bryson Stott's name in there because I've been stumping for Bryson Stott at the top of the lineup.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that happen. I think then make it a longer lineup. But hey, we can disagree. We can agree to disagree with Rob Thomson. I mean, I love a lot of things that he says, but I want that Bryson Stott kid at the top of that lineup.
Well, I think one of the reasons we mentioned Stott a lot is Rob over the years has mentioned that he thinks Bryson has the ability to one day blossom into a leadoff man, has some of the skills you need to succeed up there. So that's always kind of been in the back of your mind. But you mentioned how people love to talk about the lineups. I was really glad that you pointed out that teams run these lineup simulations. It's over 162 games. And when it all shakes out, the difference is like 3 runs over 162 games.
Totally.
Right?
So I actually wrote about this last March. I contacted this guy. He works for a company called Sequencer, and he works for like 1 or 2 major league teams, but it's mostly all college baseball and softball teams. And so I had him put together a bunch of different lineups. And I said, like, give me your best lineup overall, and then give me your worst lineup overall. And the best lineup overall last season, going into the season, I just looked up this story I wrote, was 5.04 runs per game. The worst lineup, which is basically like if you hit like Turner, Schwarber, and Harper, like 7, 8, 9, it was 4.92 runs per game. So it was only a difference of like 20 runs over the course of a season. So like the idea that, if you move Schwarber down, you move Turner up, if you move Harper here or down, it's really not, according to these numbers, it's not going to make a huge seismic difference in run production. Because so those guys are still going to hit. They might just hit a little bit less. They might hit a little bit more. There's always like guys that are hot and cold at different times. So it is interesting though.
But to hear him say that, so he's going to either use Schwarber again or Turner. So it's all determined by the right, left. And if you're not going to lead off Schwarber, you don't want him sinking too low in the order, right? So if you're going to go, he would hit, if you went right, left, that would put him at no lower than fourth, right?
Right.
So I think that has a lot to do with it, where if you used Stott up there and wanted to separate your righties and lefties, he might even, conceivably could be lower. So I guess that has, to do with it there.
Yeah, I think like
the other thing that he talked about was that the possibility of, and he talked about protecting Bryce Harper. Does he protect him with Kyle Schwarber? Does he go back-to-back lefties? And he actually mentioned that possibility, which I thought was sort of enlightening to me. And a lot of it depends on what that bullpen, the opposing team's bullpen is like. Who are the available left-handers? Are they dominating left-handers that are going to dominate against, those two hitters?
But if he goes right, left, Harper could hit too, he said.
Right.
Yeah, listen, at least he's seemed open-minded, and he's also did say that he's going to tinker with it and play with it a little bit in spring training. So it will be interesting to see. At the end of the day, he may end up just going with Schwarber as the leadoff guy and go with the very similar lineup that he had last year, and with the hopes that, guys just have better years at the back end of that lineup to make it longer, and Kepler will help lengthen it out a little bit. But hey, at least he's open-minded about certain things, and the fact that he did mention more than once, I think, the fact that it'll depend on whether it's a righty or a lefty that starts against him. That's also that was interesting stuff as well.
Yeah, you can adjust it based off who's pitching that day. So if he goes with, say, Trea in the leadoff spot, I'm just my guess, it would be Trea 1, Bryce 2, Bohm 3, Schwarber 4, unless he wants to do back-to-back lefties. I personally wouldn't hit Schwarber any lower than fourth in the lineup. I mean, again, just running the numbers, every spot on average, every spot a player drops in the lineup, or every spot in the lineup over the course of 162 games is about 16 to 18 fewer plate appearances. So if you drop Schwarber from first to fourth, he's going to bat 48 fewer times than he would in the leadoff spot. I don't know if you want to drop him another 18 spots, and now you're like, you want Kyle Schwarber batting 60 plus fewer times over the course of a season. You're going to be losing some bombs.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking about losing on average maybe 5 to 7 bombs with the way he can rack them up.
Yeah, he gets.
You don't want him any lower than fourth.
Right. So then who would you start the season batting fifth? Castellanos, based off his drawings? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's Casty.
Yeah, I would go Castellanos hitting fifth. I mean, he earned it last year with his play.
And then it becomes either Kepler or Marsh or
Stott.
Well, that's where Stott would go. Yeah.
Yeah, Stott would probably go sixth, right? JT 7.
Talk about how he likes Stott in the middle and grinding out at bats. He's being a real tough out.
Right.
So Stott goes 6.
Yeah, Stott would go 6, and then I would assume
JT goes 7.
Right, and then 8, 9 is Kepler, Marsh, Rojas, Wes Wilson, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
So
a lot of balance, a lot of right-left balance. I mean, if everybody clicks, it should be could be a lot of productivity. I still think the real key to that lineup is improvement from Stott and improvement from Turner from where they were last year. More consistency from Turner and just overall getting back to where he was the previous years from Stott. I think he's a lot better offensively than he showed last year.
And the reality of it is they have a really good offensive team, man. They have got speed. They've got power. They've got pretty good balance. But everybody's got to perform. And in some cases, guys that have to improve. I do believe and maybe I'm delusional, I do believe that there's a lot more coming from both Turner and Bohm, and Stott this year. I just feel like they're going to have better years. They'll be better players, and I think Turner's going to be closer to that MVP type player, and I think Stott's going to be, one of the better second basemen in baseball. I really believe that.
Yeah, he was my breakout guy last year, and obviously didn't turn out that way. But
Right.
but it was funny. Rob has said this now a few times. He goes, "Now listen, we're going to take over the lineup, but I do want to point out, last season
Right.
we were top 5 in most offensive categories.
Almost every single one of them.
Yeah, runs scored, slug, on base. They were top 5 National League.
It was a little different in the
baseball.
second half, though. A little different in the
Sure.
second
Oh,
half.
yeah.
They weren't top 5 in all those categories in the second half, and that that's something that has to be. I mean, they have to certainly assess that.
Yeah. It was everybody, first grapefruit league game, people will be wondering about that, looking at that kind of read between the lines. Although I think it's a road game. I don't think you see too many starters on the road, but that first game, home game at Big Hair Ballpark, you might see the projected opening day lineup. We'll see about that.
I will tell you that Stott will be leading off that first game, I believe. Either Stott or
who are you thinking?
Johan Rojas.
Oh, Johan Rojas. Yeah.
We'll lead off that first game.
Yeah. What else?
That's my call.
When you guys think of everything that we talked about with Rob, anything else? What jumped out to you guys?
Well, I liked when he talked a little bit. I think Ruben asked him about his demeanor, the way he goes about things, because he is very calm in the dugout, seldom shows emotion. I mean, in that regard, it reminds me a little bit of one of his mentors, which was Joe Torre. Joe Torre kept things kind of locked up, but I mean, there was no doubt. I covered the man. There was no doubt. He was the authority figure on that team. He just handled a lot of his business behind closed doors, and would never really show emotion in the dugout to show up a player or anything. And Rob talked about how he believes in that. And he had a great quote where he said, sometimes you have to swallow your anxiety because some of those games are, they're a lot of anxious moments. But if, as he said, you can't let them see you sweat, because any group will feed off its leader and the comportment and the demeanor of its leader. And when you can keep calm, especially in baseball, it's not like football where you can pound your head against the locker and take the field. You got to really control your emotions in baseball. And Thomson does a very good job at that. And his team, I think, benefits from that, because if it was negative energy, they'd feed off that. But, if you want to question me on that, you can, because there's times in the postseason the last couple of years when they were tight. So just because you have a calm manager doesn't mean that inside, you're not feeling it as a player. But I think Rob gives these guys a good chance to succeed, or at least the demeanor he puts forth is a real positive environment for these guys.
Well, I think some of the best managers I've been around, Bobby Cox comes to mind. Charlie Manuel did a great job with the people that he had. And, the sky could be falling with those guys, and they'd stay flatlined. And I think that was a really, really important part of being, a quality manager, because I know there were times when people loved Larry Boa because he was so emotional. But I think that and also in this day, especially in this day and age, where things are different, players are motivated differently. I think you really sort of have to have a bit of a flatline demeanor. And if the sky's falling, you can't, as he said, as you said, Jim, they can't see you. Can't let them see your sweat. And they also, the players always wants to be supported. I mean, there are times when Rob will go out there and chew out that umpire. It's not something he'll do like all the time, but if he feels like there's a time to do it, I think he'll go out there and do it. That said, behind closed doors, the Bobby Coxes, the Charlie Manuels, and the Rob Thompsons, they will take care of what they need to take care of, and they will be pretty direct with their players. Very direct, in fact. And I know that Rob Thomson People don't know this, but Rob Thompson's not afraid to have a chat.
Well, I remember Charlie Manuel all the time, because everybody, in the media, team goes through a bad stretch, right? Jim, you know this, and be like, "Are you going to call a team meeting? Are you going to yell at the team? Are you going to have a team meeting?" I remember Charlie saying this bunch. It's like, "Listen, man, if you have too many team meetings, you kind of become a joke. As the guy that's always yelling and screaming and
white noise."
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, this guy's losing it again. We lost, let's relax, buddy. So, I think Rob's got that personality where he's not going to do that.
Rob,
it means more when he gets on you in that sense.
Yeah, and he essentially has a team meeting every day. I mean, they have their meeting before a series. He addresses the team with the hitters, the pitchers. But if you watch him during BP, he walks around the entire field and spends time with pretty much every guy out there. A few minutes. Some guy might get 10 minutes. Some might get 2 minutes. But it's communication. It's just more in a one-on-one form. So
I think the great thing about that for me is I think about John Vukovic. That you want to be supportive to them publicly. You want to be supportive to them usually privately as well, and that also gives you license once it's time for you to get on them, because you've given them that respect. You've allowed them that leash. And I think that also, and like you said, Todd, I think it's more impactful when you get zipped every once in a while.
Right.
Were you ever part of a great team meeting, Ruben?
I've been in a lot of great team meetings and a lot of shitty ones.
What's a good one and what's a bad one? Or do you remember a good one and do you remember a bad one that you stick in your head and you go?
Yeah, there were quite a few of them. I've been involved in some team meetings as an executive that weren't the greatest, but I've also been involved in some team meetings that were really spectacular as a player. I've been involved in one when Jim Fregosi basically chewed out one of the leaders of the team, and everybody was in shock, and I didn't realize what was happening until months or a year later that he did it for effect. He did it as a plan, basically to say, "Hey, I'm going to," and later on, he talked to the guy and said, "Listen, I used you to make a point." It was enlightening. It was really, it was enlightening. I'm not going to tell you who the guy was.
Oh.
No, I think he ended up getting on. I think it was Pete Incaviglia.
Oh, really?
I think he jumped on Pete for some reason, and it was just to jump on him to try to make a point. And he got the biggest guy in the room, right? And he jumped on the biggest man in the room. He's a pretty imposing fella, that Pete Incaviglia. And if Jim Fregosi's getting on the biggest guy in the room, he can pretty much get on anybody, and you'd have to take it.
I love that. That's great.
Pretty cool.
That's great. Rob said a couple other things. I thought we asked him about the Dodgers, and he made a point to say, listen, they had a great offseason. They can only play 9 guys. They can only start 1 guy every day. So I wonder if that's going to be a little bit of a, and then he also talked about everybody's got this perception that we're going down. I think we're still on the way up, and we're still going. I wonder if that might be a little bit of a rallying cry in the sense, or a little backdrop to the team's story as they move forward of, nobody thinks you guys can compete with the Dodgers, and everybody thinks you guys aren't any good. And, maybe that takes the pressure off. Maybe that helps them play a little bit looser. We'll find out, of course. I mean, but maybe there's something there. Maybe that's part of the message that he's already formulated. Oh, he did say that he's going to mention some of that stuff in his opening comments, right, Jimmy? You asked that question.
Yeah, he mentioned that there seems to be this narrative that they're going downward, and he acknowledged, a couple quick exits the last 2 Octobers, but he said the record's getting better. He thinks their personnel is better, and he thinks they are getting better. I think it's important for him to deliver an upbeat message on day one. You have to. They're grown men. They're not going to fall for a rah-rah speech on opening of camp, but I think they do understand they have real good personnel and a real good opportunity to do something here. But they need to play better in October. I fully expect them to get to October. They need to play better.
And as part of that message, he also talked about some young players coming, the Painters of the world and the Millers, and he's interested in seeing those guys and the Crawfords of the world and Chaussee and others that he could have put his eyes on. He also feels like there's a lot more depth than they've had in the past, which is very true. I mean, you start looking at the rotation. It's always been the question last couple of years. Well, it's a great rotation, but do they have enough depth to carry if they have a couple breakdowns? And I think they put themselves in a position to have a little bit more depth and some young arms and some quality arms. And I think it was interesting for him to have mentioned the fact that they still got some players coming. So it's a good time to be a Philadelphia fan, and it's a good time to be in the organization because the expectation remains high.
So one last thing for me is Jim sent us a photo, Ruben. I don't know if you remember this a couple weeks ago. He was watching Jeopardy. And you guys like to sign off the show with "Smell you later." And it's
right.
We run into people that will say it. Jim, didn't you have somebody say it to you outside of church one day, walking out of church? Drop the "Smell you later" on you, which I love. That's amazing.
That's blasphemous, James. It's blasphemous.
Drop the "Smell you later." So Jim's at home one night on the couch or whatever, watching Jeopardy. And I'm going to pop this on the screen here.
I love Jeopardy.
The category, Ruben, was crossword clues. Oh, it's an $800 category. The clue was cranial nerve to smell you later. 9 letters. Cranial nerve to smell you later. 9 letters. Any idea what the answer is? Jim, do you remember what the answer is? I looked it up. They have a website you can look up everything.
Is it olfactory?
Olfactory.
Had to be olfactory.
Olfactory. Yep. There you go. So that's kind of funny though. Jim saw it. He's like, I got to take a picture of this.
Yeah, that's funny. I like the rewind button.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
That is funny. But all right, we'll be back later this week. We've got a guest coming. You guys will really enjoy it. A nice big guest for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get ready for the guest.
Yes, get ready for the guest. If you like the Philly Show, and we hope you do, make sure to subscribe, of course. And then if you want a Philly Show t-shirt, go to thephillyshow.com, buy 47 brand. Pick one up and then wear it, and maybe we'll see you wear it down in spring training. But we will be back later this week for more Philly Show. Thanks, everybody. Smell it.
Can I give a hint on who our guest is?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
You can give a little love, him.
A little hint before I sign off.
Yeah.
He's just tough.
There you go.
All
right. I'll smell you later, guys.
Smell you later.
Smell you, Tim.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.